Now here's a word from our very own Holly Laurent.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So tomorrow being Father's Day has got me thinking an awful lot about my dad. And I know that these types of holidays can be very joyful for so many people, and they can also be quite painful for a lot of people too. And the older I get, the more I realize that life is a lot about how we respond to pain. And of everyone I've ever met, I like my dad's response to pain the best of all. Whenever we got hurt as kids, falling out of a tree or getting stung by a bee or stubbing our toe on the foot of the bed, my dad would jump up and say, "Who hurt you? Who did this? Was this the foot of the bed? Did the foot of the bed hurt you? Well, here's what I do to anybody who hurts my little baby girl." And he would haul off and he would kick the side of the bed and he would kick it and he would kick it and it would be big and dramatic and wild, and inevitably he would hurt his toe and then he would crumble onto the floor holding his busted foot and he would fake cry, and by that time I would be laughing through my tears. And it's a great technique to get a kid to stop crying, but it also taught me a really beautiful life lesson. That when you see someone you love in pain, find anything you can to let them know that they're not alone. Thanks, Dad. So, I'm not gonna cry. So my grandfather imparted 2 pieces of wisdom before he passed. He held my hands, he looked in my eyes, and he said, "These are 2 things I want you to remember. Read your Bible and save your money." And my father, he had a little bit different advice. The first thing my dad would always tell me is, "It's always good to be generous." And I will never forget all of the times I've seen him extend generosity, even though we had so little. The second thing he would always say to me is, "You never waste time when you're with someone you love." A boring wait in an endless line, a drive that is taking way too long. He used all those mundane moments as an opportunity to say, "I love you." He would look at me and say, "You never waste time when you're with someone you love." And my dad and I loved rainstorms. And growing up in the Midwest, we had plenty of them. He and I had a tradition that we would always meet on the front porch for a storm. I'd be on the glider waiting for him, and he would show up with a couple of sodas from the fridge or a couple of popsicles from the freezer in the garage. And he was like a broken record, my dad. At some point, he would always say he could smell the ozone in the air from the lightning, and we would always count the seconds between each electric strike and the following clap of thunder to calculate its distance to us. And he never failed to ask, "What is the grass saying right now?" And then we would both go, "Ah." One time in my 20s, when I was home visiting, we sat on the porch during a particularly powerful rainstorm. I happened to be nursing a badly broken heart at the time. I'd been through a breakup that made me feel like I couldn't breathe or eat or get out of bed. But that day, I made it to the porch. And when my dad looked over and began to ask, "What's the grass saying right now?" he noticed tears were streaming down my face. And my ex-sweetheart was long gone, so there was no one for my dad to dramatically flail against and to eventually hurt himself on, to try to turn my tears into laughter. So to let me know I wasn't alone, he just simply reached over and he held my hand as I cried. And we watched the cool raindrops make steam rise off the surface of our hot driveway. And I let all that angst in my tummy and chest well up into some good, long sobs. And as the rain began to subside, my dad looked up into the sky and he said, "Well, darling, I guess that's the thing about storms. They pass." And he was right. I got over that jerk who dumped me. But I'll never get over you, Dad. You're the most generous person I know. And watching the rain with you is never a waste of time because I'm with someone I love. Happy Father's Day.